Yes. 2 hours to midnight, our brand new heavy metal show here on WMMS. I'll be kicking it off with some Geddy Lee and Rush. Half the world, everybody. Love this song. I thought of it when I was reading the article that in about 10 years, more than half the world will be obese by modern standards. You know,
doing my part.
People used to make fun of the United States, but we've long been exporting obesity to other parts of the world. In some ways, it is an indicator of the world overall being in a much better place than they were even 30 years ago. It's kind of the law of unintended consequences, you know. But more than half of the entire population of the world, they say, will be obese by 2035. They say without significant action, there will be no significant action for people to cut back on obesity. More than 4 billion people will be obese in the next 12 years.
Damn.
They're rising quickly among children and in lower income countries. And again, this is that double-edged sword. Lower income countries, you get fat because you're eating
so poorly.
Well, but you're eating. You know, it's not ideal, but it, you know, for people who kind of look at the big picture of is the world, you know, are our societies in the world in better shape than they were 50 years ago? The answer is unequivocally yes. The president of the World Obesity Federation, or WOF, said they hate to see obesity rates rising fastest among kids and teens. So, you know, there are countries where you can't drink the water, so they drink Coke. That's a major, major market for Coca-Cola. They're like, there are countries where you cannot safely drink the water.
That was the Philippines. Everybody drank Coke or Pepsi or Sarsi, whatever they had.
Is that a Filipino soda?
Yeah, and it was like that's what they would drink all day, and their teeth were terrible.
Yeah.
Real bad teeth.
Well, let me ask you this, because people make fun of, is that because there's also not adequate dental care, or people don't consider that, or?
Well, yeah, there's not adequate dental care, but there also, I mean, it's not even a thought in people's minds.
I see.
Like, it's not, they're just trying to survive, taking care of your teeth, especially, like, for the young kids.
Yeah, I understand.
Like a vanity thing.
Yeah, like, the young kids will, like, they're like, oh, those teeth are going to fall out anyway, so who cares if they rot and fall out versus just falling on their own.
I mean, you can gum noodles.
Yeah.
Boy, Sarsi is really trying to confuse people as to whether or not it's Pepsi.
Oh, yeah.
It's the blue can and the white letters and the red.
Yep.
Good for them. It's like a sarsaparilla drink. Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like root beer.
Yeah, it's more of a root beer, but it's
Well, I guess it's good then that, you know, they were making great hay about the fact that Eli Lilly is capping insulin copays at $35. I have to ask what the catch is here, because there's no way that a company like Eli Lilly's like, we make enough money off it. Let's drop the price by 70%. I don't know if they're being subsidized or what's happening here, but it's really, really good news for about 7 million people in this country who are diabetic. Now, bad news for the people who are diabetic are about all the fatties using Ozempic, which is a diabetes drug that they determine makes people real thin real fast. So people who have the means now are getting Ozempic from their doctors looking the other way, saying, I want to get thin real fast. But you have people who are diabetic who need that and can't get it because we're obsessed with how we look. And so, I mean, the Holy Grail, if you're not talking about male contraceptive, if you're not talking about an immediate hair growth pill, you know, the Holy Grail in Big Pharma is, can we take a pill that would make us thin, right? And Ozempic is the closest that they've gotten to it so far. So there's all kinds of people who are trying to use it to lose weight rapidly, but it is diabetes medication. And so there's people who are diabetic and can't get it. So I guess that's the other side of that coin. But the obese planet. Now, I'll ask a really stupid question. Will that make the planet heavier? Will that throw us off our axis?
If we get too fat?
Yes.
I think it would.
Is that how gravity works?
4 billion overweight, not even overweight, obese people? Yeah.
Okay.
4 billion?
Yeah, but those people will die. That's not.
I don't know. We had dinosaurs.
Ooh. Checkmate.
Checkmate.
You heard it from Poundcake.
Checkmate.
I said we had dinosaurs.
Checkmate. We did have dinosaurs.
And if it
he's not even waiting for the other half of that.
He just goes, "Oh yeah, dinosaurs."
I give up. Ye of little faith.
Now he's just throwing words out together. The Earth is an isolated system where all of the mass that was on it to start doesn't go anywhere. People weigh more, and so the Earth weighs more. Earth may not actually gain in weight, but it will be laboring under an additional burden. So it's a dumb question with an actual answer. We are indirectly increasing the mass of the Earth. This should underscore how we're all connected, not only to the planet, but to each other. As we gain in mass, so our planet gains in mass. So when people are trying to talk about lessening their carbon footprint, that footprint's going to get deeper and deeper and deeper into the actual ground. So maybe think about that.
We don't have to worry about climate change as much as we have to worry about global fatting.
That's right. Global fatting is the new issue in the next decade. And I hope that the appropriate resources will be directed to it.
I mean,
so carbon footprint up until now has kind of been a metaphor. It's becoming a real thing. Not we're all made of carbon. By extension, our carbon footprint is because we're all getting to be big fatties.
So all these things are working in concert with each other to basically end humanity. Not the Earth. The Earth's going to keep going.
Yes.
But it's going to take us out.
Our time on it will end.
Late stage capitalism, climate change, and just being so fat.
Yes.
Our days are numbered.
We're a victim of our own success.
I know. It's like when you win Monopoly.
Just like the dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs were very successful.
They were. Mm-hmm. They had their own small businesses. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know about that. They go, yeah, I know. I know Jesus was in the 90s. I know Jesus was riding around on one. Yeah, that documentary in the 90s. The dad would come home from work.
Yeah, not the mama.
Not the mama.
Alan, did that idiot just say, irregardless? Get in your self-driving car and go over a cliff. Love you. Bye.
He did say that.
I know. He's talking about the
Poundcake.
The CEO of Ford said irregardless. And again, that hits my ear different, but irregardless is a word. I have to caution myself, being a word nerd, about saying anything along those lines because it's hard to tell what's a word. Irregardless is a word.
Is that one of those words that just became a word because I used it so much?
Probably. I think it's been around for a while. I prefer irrespective. That's what I say. But irregardless is a word. People gave Fred Durst a hard time years ago because he said something along those lines. It wasn't irregardless. What did Fred Durst say? And
he said he did it all for the nookie.
That, yes, and he wanted things to break.
Give me something.
But he used a word. Oh, agreeance was the word. He said, I think we're all in agreeance. And everybody, ha ha, dummy in a red ball cap, idiot. And they were like, agreeance is a word, yeah. So that's why, and this is a lesson that I've had to learn over the years, got to be careful. Because listen, we're all here in the communications business. Poundcake can tell you this better than anybody. You got to have your vocab on lock. You can't be throwing around things that don't make sense. And that's just English. Don't get him started on French.
You know what they just added to Netflix?
Lady Mama Lie?
Yeah, Burlesque is on there now.
There you go.
I was like, what a week for them to add Burlesque.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Of course, Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, a thriving burlesque community here. And I wonder if any of them hearing Poundcake talk about Lady Mama Lie, if any of them drove off the road. If any of them, if their pasties flew off their bodies at hearing him talk about Lady Mama Lie.
It's a big no-no.
Big no.
Gotta keep them pasties on them nippies.
Oh, you just made a mess.
So, yeah. So, again, that's a word, if Poundcake said irregardless, guarantee people would be beating him up. But that's a word. And it's always changing, too. We always I love Dictionary Day. It comes 4 times a year. Quarterly, Dictionary Day comes. And it makes me very excited because I'm cool. And also because you get to see what goes in. And we're not all paying close attention to that. I didn't know what what was the word? I don't know. They just put in some words. And a bunch of them I'd never heard before. So you can't know what every single word is, but Fred Durst was correct with agreeance. I like looking at really, really old transcriptions of words when they were all spelled differently and used, like with had like a Y and an E. And I'd like to go back to spelling some of those that way. Some words are portmanteaus. You'll hear somebody say they're frustrated. Like flustered and frustrated. Frustrated's not a word, but you understand what they're saying. And the point of communication is to understand what the other person's saying. So, people say supposedly. That's not the word, supposedly. But people say supposedly. And I assume they're talking about their supposable thumbs. What separates us from the animals. And, but you know what they're saying. You know what they're saying. Conversate. When I hear people say that, drives me nuts.
The black preacher that was marrying my friends this weekend, he said, I would like to ask you all to stand with us and welcome and then he said, as I pronounce you, husband and wife, whatever he was saying. But when he said axe, me and my buddy Cody were like, yeah.
So I have a question.
I love axe. Yeah.
I've wondered my entire life, is it successful or successful?
Well, how would you say it without the FUL?
Success.
Yeah.
But some people say success.
I've never heard anyone say success.
It's mainly.
Are they telling you that you're sus? Because that would be different.
No, I've heard someone was going to get her MBA, and she was like, I'm doing what I have to do to be successful. And I was like,
oh, well, that just might be sloppy pronunciation.
Okay, I was just making sure she was getting her MBA, so I figured she had better.
Well, that means she's good. That means she's
business,
good.
not
business.
Yeah.
She's not an English major. She's not getting her doctorate in English lit. She just needs to know how to do spreadsheets. But yeah, conversate. I always think of converse, but a lot of people say conversate, and so you go, okay, well, I know what you're saying. So
Aluminium.
That I don't get. It's an extra vowel in there. But, listen, when Poundcake was in Vegas, he went to see the Jabberwockies.
Yep.
And do you know where the Jabberwockies got their name?
I thought it was Alice in Wonderland, but no.
I think you're right. Well, it was Lewis Carroll, the guy that wrote Alice in Wonderland. Jabberwocky was one of those weird words that didn't really mean it. Yeah, exist, but they were in the book. So it's like along those lines.
Yeah, but I didn't know.
He loved to dance.
Oh, okay.
And by the way,
I don't know about that.
But he made up words that eventually became actual words, like chortle. That was a word he made up. So I would love to make up a word that eventually I'd be long gone, but it'd be really something to make up a word, and it becomes a word. Confiscated is just a mispronunciation that he threw out of. So that wouldn't be a word. He'd have to be a new word.
Confiscated.
Confiscated.
Faptuance. It's where you're tossing off, but you're also really farty at the same time.
Faptuance.
Faptuance.
All right. Well.
You fapulate.
Uh-huh. What's going on with my... You hear that? Listen.
Oh, I hear that little
You hear that little thing? What is that?
That's a little crackle you got there. That's probably COVID.
Oh, that's some old-timey radio crackle. All right, well. Frustrated.
That's coming from not from your microphone. That's in your throat.
I know, but it sounds like old.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
Clear your throat.
Bah. Ah. Alan, I had a boss tell me to de-thaw some fish. Well, yeah.
De-thaw. So freeze it?
I'm gonna need you to de-thaw that for me.
Yeah. Well, it's already de-thawed. It's frozen.
Yeah. Frustrated is a word. I had a boss that said it, and it annoyed me, so I looked it up. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. And again, I think anything that impels people to look something up is good too. When I was a kid and I would ask my mom what something meant, she would always say, look it up. And there were probably a lot of parents that, look it up, was the only response. Look it up. And we would go to something called the dictionary. And it was a big old book. And it had all the words in it that anybody ever knew from all through time. The dictionary. Now it's an online dictionary.com. But dictionary used to be a book. Oh. And you'd go to it and you'd say, hey, frustrated is a word. You know, people love that video that went around of Nigella Lawson saying microwave. I'd put this in the microwave. Right? Alan, what about Romo Fijo? Well, that's just a contraction of Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. It's not really a word in and of itself. I would like everyone to use that as frequently as possible, however. Some people have accused me of making a cringe-worthy contraction, but I enjoy it. You don't have to use it, but I will use Romo Fijo however long I remain in Cleveland. Or until they resell the naming rights.
Mm-hmm.
How long do they have Romo Fijo for?
Well,
probably 14, 15 years?
Yeah, probably something like that.
I won't still be here then, so whatever
you don't know that. You don't know
I know that. I'll be chewed up and spat out way before then. Alan, my friend, says macadamia nut. Oh, I like that. Have you had these cookies? They're white chocolate and macadamia nut. I'm going to start saying that. Now, in order to work it in with any frequency, I'm going to have to start eating those nuts, and it's not my favorite.
Oh,
but I will make the concession just to get those in there. Sinceriously, that's another good smoosh of two things. But macadamia nut, that takes the cake.
Macadamia.
Mm-hmm. Aluminium is the correct spelling of the element. And again, stupid Americans drop the I, somebody says. Okay. Well, or did they add the I?
Yeah. We just decided to make it more efficient.
I mean, if it's on the aluminium. Oh, okay. Aluminium. Well, there it is. Again, I don't have my periodic table memorized.
Science is a liar sometimes.
And that's true, too. Okay.
There's this crazy word. It's the Funnier stop.
The Funnier stop.
Yeah, the Funnier stop.
All
it's
right.
down in Cuyahoga Falls.
Is there a tilde over any of those ends, or?
Yeah, it's a Tilda Swinton.
Oh,
and
well, she's lovely.
Mm-hmm. And I'll be headlining there March 31st and April 1st. Get tickets right now at billsquire.com.
Do people ever confuse that with the Funny Stop? Because
it's the same place. So
it's the same
works
place.
Out. It works out. It's like
Oh.
if you're British, you probably say Funnier stop, or maybe
or whatever Pete speaks.
Yeah, Lebanese.
Hmm.
He just screams.
I'm going to take a break.